Goodwood Festival of Speed, Day 3, Saturday morning, and have we got a treat for you. Formula One cars right from Graham Hill's Lotus 49 up to the present day, on the hill. It's amazing, though, that there are so many different cars from so many different eras, and that's perhaps one of the most amazing things about Goodwood. We've seen cars from Le Mans 24 Hours who were going up the hill today, but were at Le Mans 3 weeks ago. And it's just those kind of things which are amazing to see. Then you turn around and you come across a Bentley. There are lots of Bentleys here, but this one finished second at Le Mans in 1930. Standing in line here at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and I'm standing next to car number 154, this glorious Bentley, and sitting behind the wheel, slightly apprehensively perhaps, is Graham Moss. This is a super car.
Oh, it's a real privilege to get to drive the car this weekend. Fabulous thing.
And tell us a bit about the car itself.
So the car's one of two team cars that were built for the 1930 racing season. It's a Speed Six Bentley. They were built just two on a short chassis, not a production length that they made. This particular example came second at Le Mans in 1930 and won the double 12-hour race at Brooklands the same year, and has gone through history untouched. A most remarkable museum piece, really.
You say it's gone through history untouched because that's very, very unusual for a vintage Bentley.
For a racing car to remain all the bits complete, it's fantastic, yeah.
Did it race for a long period of time?
No, they sold it after the 1930 race season because, of course, Bentley announced that they were no longer going to race, that there was no competition, and it didn't even get raced by the privateers that bought it afterwards.
So it presumably just became either a museum piece or a road car.
Well, of course, the Alfa Romeos appeared. The 2.3 Alfa suddenly became extremely dominant, and that was such a step forwards. You were going from Goliath to David, you know, and I think probably they would have struggled to have continued.
Talking about this car, I have to ask the inevitable question: what's it like to drive?
I would describe it as a fast battleship. It feels like you could drive 100 miles an hour over a ploughed field without spilling a drop of your champagne. Very sturdy, really well built. Feels like it would go on and on and on forever. Yeah, fabulous.
We were just looking at the front of the car and the fact that it's got all the stone guards and everything that it would have had in period, because it was a very different race at Le Mans from anything like we see even for the last 50 years.
Very much so. You know, the majority of the track was broken up concrete. So stone guards on the petrol tank, under trays to protect large stones damaging gearboxes and sumps. Yeah, and of course what you see here is Bentley at their at the end of their racing careers, so they've developed so much experience. And if you look deeper into the car, the way they're constructed for racing, for endurance racing, is phenomenal. So all the wiring's in duplicate, all the switches are duplicate, all the air lines for the petrol tanker, there's 2. All the fuel pipes, there's 2. So no matter what occurs, you're going to be able to keep the thing going. And of course that's come about from their years and years of, at that period, dominating at Le Mans.
Do you know, I thought it was Audi who actually came up with that idea of duplicating everything. But
well,
obviously,
of course, Bentley pioneered pit stopping as well. So you've got the quick release fillers on the water, on the fuel tank. You have an external self-leveling oil system, so you can fill it with oil without ever having to lift the bonnet for speed. They carried spare oil in the scuttle tank there, so if you were unlucky and oil consumption raised, you could turn this tap, drain in some more engine oil. No, they know what they were doing.
They did, didn't they? I mean, it's amazing to think that that's the best part of 100 years ago.
The other thing that's interesting was they had realised, because they've been doing it so long, that the average speed, the winning speed each year, only increased by 3%. So they would only ever set the drivers off 3% faster than the year before. They didn't let them race. They said, let's just get to the end first. So if you actually look into the racing, they weren't very quick until they had to be at the end. And of course, 9 times out of 10, they were the only ones running by then anyway.